Starting, I thought we did.
Yeah, we can stand and
Jerry,
say the pledge
you
of
didn't
prayer.
have to
Call meeting order.
I did tell you what I think about you.
They probably
Tell you what, let me get this going. Otherwise, I'll forget. Takes a second for it to come up here.
Do you want me to sing this or just?
Oh, please, please.
All right.
Oh, dear God.
Township board meeting. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do I have an agenda?
I've always thought you had an agenda, but I didn't really.
I do have my own
public.
personal agenda.
Yeah, but we're going to pray now. We're going to pray.
Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you for this wonderful day, this beautiful weather, and everybody's attendance here and their health, and we ask you to give us guidance in everything we do. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
We'll get, you got an agenda?
I'm sharing.
But here, I tell you what, I printed off one for myself. You can have mine.
I have ants. There are ants over here.
As long as they're not my pants, I'm good.
Oh, and I need to spray that.
Okay. Let's see here. I didn't declare a quorum. I don't know why I've got, is this your pen? We got 3 board members present. And I need a motion to approve the agenda for today's meeting as written.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda for the meeting of 5/13/15.
Okay. Jerry Cook will second that.
All right, motion carries. If anybody has anything else you can think of during the meeting we need to add, just mention it and we'll add it to the agenda. Minutes from the last meeting. Has everybody got to read the minutes from the last meeting?
Well,
You want to spend a
them.
minute to read
Did
them?
I bring them? No, that's a chore. I did go through them, but it was kind of quick, so.
Okay.
I've been busy.
Do you want to look at them again?
No, I
Okay.
trust everybody,
That's what that
just
was.
about.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting, minutes from the last meeting.
I second that.
Okay, motion carries. Minutes are approved from the last meeting. Territorial report. Where'd I put it?
Right there.
Okay, territory board meeting. This is hot off the press, I just got this. It's the minutes from the last township board meeting, or the territory board meeting. Had a lot of things we discussed. One thing was the 5-member board. There's a lengthy discussion about when it should have been done and how it's being done. I think our attorney here that's present today can go into that a little bit more. It's actually a couple pages of discussion we had there. Station 56 construction, they're going to update the living quarters there so that females can spend the night, have their own bedroom. And also they're going to put emergency egress windows and a couple doors. And they're going to pay for that out of their budget.
They got it budgeted.
They have, money in their budget for building maintenance. $20,000 is in their building maintenance.
So they're going to do $5,000 at Station 56.
That's just under 5. It's like
Right.
4,600 or something.
Okay, so 46 at Station 56.
Yes.
How much is that going to cost?
He said 5,000.
And how much is there?
Station 56.
55?
Oh, Station 55. I haven't received it yet, but supposedly there has been a verbal quote from Inc. Construction to take the entire roof off of Station 55.
Okay, wait, hold on. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're
Go
confusing
back
me.
to
Yeah,
the other.
because did I hear correctly that they're going to take Station 55 and make egress windows and living
Station
quarters?
56.
Okay, that's,
Whatever that quote was,
so they're not going to improve the sleeping quarters in Station 55.
that's not on the agenda now.
Okay, then you said 55. That's
I'm
what
sorry.
threw me off.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I've got all this
Because Station 55 does not have separate female
currently.
quarters.
They did, and it's been changed into an office, I believe.
Okay, all right, I'm with you then. I was
Okay.
like, whoa, that was a new one. That was
They have $20,000 budgeted this year for building maintenance and improvements. They spent a little over 800 of it so far, doing a few things at one of the 2 stations. They're gonna spend $4,600 on, to upgrade Station 56 living quarters, which a lot of that was, those upgrades were suggested, highly suggested by our insurance company, for liability purposes. That was something that happened last year, so they're planning on moving forward with that. And then also, the next thing is they want, and we want to get the roof fixed, a final fix on our roof over here at this fire station next door, Station 55. They've gotten a verbal quote from a Heat Construction, the guy that did the repairs at Station 56 in Atlanta, to completely tear the roof off, and they're going to raise the roof up to where it's one level or one angle across the back. And then they're going to put all new roofing on the front also. Evidently the roofing that's currently on that building is not made anymore, and it doesn't match up the new style of roofing, metal roofing. So the only way they can get this to work correctly is if they take the roofing off the front also. So
That metal?
it's all metal. So they're going to build this center section up so there won't be a valley and a dip where we have all these problems. They're going to take the vent pipes for the sewer lines out of the roof, and then the vent pipes for one of the furnaces comes through the roof. They're going to take it through the side, take both those through a side wall. So when they get finished, there will be nothing coming through the roof, and it will be one straight roof across the back and a straight roof across the front, and it's going to be one piece of metal from the cap at the top all the way down.
That sounds great.
Okay. Also, they're going to let the roof hang over in the back by a few inches and eliminate the gutter in the back because the wind was blowing rain up underneath the gutter evidently, and then inside the building. So they're going to let it hang over a little bit and eliminate the gutter, and they talked about possibly having to put a French drain, what's called a French drain in. That would be probably on top of what we're talking here. But the verbal quote was $18,500.
Now, so
which is substantially cheaper than what we've talked about doing with the rubber and all that.
So what did the territory commit? How much did
Well, they haven't committed. They were more waiting to see how much we're willing to commit. They're willing to commit paying for some of it, but like I said, they have, when they get done with their construction projects, they will have less than $15,000 left in their budget for the entire year. Plus, Chief White has also indicated that they have planned on doing some upgrades inside of Station 55 with the Arcadia station this year. It started last year. I think it was tile on the floor and a stairway or something.
They need to address that ceiling.
Yeah,
insulation.
I think that's part of this quote. The ceiling insulation may all go, and when they raise it up, they may re-insulate that ceiling. I haven't seen a written quote,
Since
so I'm
that's
not sure.
Property of the township, we need to invest in that building and keep it, I think, keep it as nice as we can. That's a pretty good price, $18,500.
that's amazing.
Well, and what amazes me is he's tearing everything off, so we're coming back all new, and it's going to be seamless from the ridge all the way down.
Will that be insulated as well?
He talked about insulating, the metal he can get is sprayed with like a rubber or a foam insulation on the back side, so when you put it down it won't sweat, which will eliminate any future mold issues. But we haven't gone into the detail about re-insulating the building.
Would it be fair if I made a motion that we pay half of that $18,500? And we got the funding?
What we have in capital outlays for buildings, I mean, I can move these line items. I can move, under capital outlays, we've got a total of $16,300, that's for both buildings. $5,000 for buildings, $10,000 for machinery and equipment, and $1,300 for parking lots.
Plus we got that co-op money. So.
But I'd have to reappropriate.
Right,
That would be an additional appropriation.
Is that fair, Jeff?
Well, I think that's fair, but I'll be honest with you, I don't think that's going to be enough to get the job done because they've got other projects they want to do also.
Well, what do you think's enough?
Well, I was throwing the numbers around in my head, and I was thinking around 13. If we were being willing to pay around 13, anywhere between
Is that
13
gonna
and 15 of it.
include the inside of that?
No, this is just the roof.
I'd go 13, but I'd wanna do the inside of that.
But
Yeah,
what are you talking about? I don't.
Well, make sure that ceiling's done properly, because that's got wet, and you can tell where that insulation is dropped down, and I'm sure it's gonna create, or has created mold. And then they need some work done in them living quarters.
Yeah, well, we did half of it. We stopped with the full light intent. Josh Nast has actually drawn up plans of how to rearrange those back quarters to make it, but that was also when we had female, because we're now gonna not have female living quarters there.
But you can't count on that for the future.
No, but what I'm saying is that there are plans to do that.
Okay.
I'm just letting you know that they've done that.
Plus, you brought up earlier meetings that about they wanted a new bay, another bay added.
Well, if we,
Have you heard any more about that?
no, and the only thing that I'm thinking is how does this new roof, if we did wanna put a new bay, can it do
they
that?
could just extend it on out at the same roof pitch.
Yeah.
They would just match what
'Cause
we
you'd have to
currently
go,
got.
you'd have to go
Move
west
west.
with it. So you
Yeah.
just keep the same pitch.
Yeah, that wouldn't be an
But we
issue.
could do that later with
Right,
that money.
Yeah, I was just thinking that if we think ahead and think, if we need another bay,
Well, here's something else we could do if we needed to too. We could always get another, a tax rate to pay for it if it's more than what we're gonna have and cut it.
I wouldn't think
Short
with
tax
that,
rate.
with that co-op money we got there, that should be enough to do that. I'll make a motion then that we, commit 13,000 towards the Station 55 improvements roof. Mainly. And then we're gonna address the interior later.
Well, I think what they hope is that they're gonna have some money left in their building plan, or the building part of their budget, to do some of that this year. I do believe that, without seeing the written quote, but I do believe that a lot of that insulation issue you were talking about is covered under this $18,500 quote. Because when they raise that up, they're gonna have to take some of that insulation out, or at least in the back part of the building.
Well, I know that you being a fireman and staying at stations, it means a lot to have something decent.
I agree,
And that, to me, needs improvement. It just,
I agree.
I think we have gone great strides in improving the living quarters from the last year or so there. And building that wall between the living quarters and the bay has improved their safety as far as the CO that they breathe in when the trucks leave and stuff. And it's keeping the living quarters warmer, so our heat bills aren't near as bad.
And cooler.
And cooler in the summer.
so is that a fair motion, 13? Did you say 13?
Well, I was thinking 13 in my head, but I don't know how much they're willing to commit to it. You know, I think that's a fair split, because they want to have a little money to fix the inside too.
But we need a little money too. We've only
Right.
got 16, we've got 16.3.
Right.
So
So,
if something goes wrong, if something else goes wrong, or something goes wrong here,
well,
and
we-
this house is in such
I'll
a
still
shape.
leave us 33, so.
Yeah,
And if we need money, we can do the reappropriation.
additional appropriation.
yeah, do we have any projected use of that COVID money this year? No. Okay.
That was
For
gonna
next
rainy
year.
day it. That was
Next
gonna
year.
rainy day it, yeah.
Okay.
Not unless Arcadia Land on Fort Covers. Okay, I made a motion.
Okay.
Motion, are you in a second?
No.
I'll second. We do that. I want to get that roof fixed before we do anything else to the
Yeah,
inside
that
of the
needs to
building.
be fixed.
I don't really care, personally, I don't care if they do anything more to the inside of the building this year, but I don't want to spend money fixing the inside if we're gonna have a leaky roof on the outside.
So it passes with Lynn Schwartz, no, right?
Okay, moving on. Still on the territory information. We talked a lot about invoices and claims, and how we're having a policy to take care of those. And Chris was involved in how the fire chief provides invoices and POs and things
Yeah,
like
but I
that.
have not received, I have not received the finished product.
Okay, all right. Need finished product from chief. All right.
And in that process, we discussed that POs be presented so that we'd have an input. Not that I would, but we'd have an input of saying, hold on a minute. Like if somebody were to say, we're going to spend something on a building, it's like, no, wait a minute, because I thought there isn't that much left.
Right.
Well, in the procedures of it, that should be done anyway. Coming from another board, I noticed in these, I know I'm jumping, but in these minutes, it was hard to find a second in a motion. The procedures of approving this and second, you know, all that, it's not done right.
Yeah,
and the same thing with your PO invoices. That should be approved by, forwarded and approved by her, since she's the person that has to, is responsible.
We're working through those issues.
Okay.
But I just got a flow chart, but I don't have the one. I think it's been changed.
There's been a couple small things changed at the very bottom of the flow chart, which I don't think is going to affect what you do, but I will. We'll get a hold of Chief and see if he can get you
and on that, I don't know if this is the appropriate time or not, but I did send a letter. Is this good, do you think?
Yeah.
Okay, so based on the conversation that we are having, is that there are things that are being changed at the fire board, and no one's letting us know. And it directly affects what we do. So my letter was to Maurice St. Louis and members of the Jackson Fire Territory Board, and I'll give a copy of this to be a part of our minutes. Stated May 4th, officially I would like to request your assistance with communication or lack thereof between the Fire Territory Board and Jackson Township as the providing unit. Please clarify who will be the liaison from the board. It is difficult, if not impossible, to implement procedures that have seemingly been put in place. The Fire Territory has met twice with no communication to this office. My request is that when the board votes to make changes or to clarify procedures, it would notify me in writing. Certainly verbal communication is essential, but the written document would enable us to compile a written standard operating procedure. So, for example, if you look in 2 minutes ago, there was a chain of command made. Jeff was kind enough to share that with me today, but this is the first time that I've seen it. At the same time, I don't know who is the liaison to the board.
Officially, it's supposed to be the president of the board.
So that would be Maurice.
Yes.
So I've not been contacted.
Right, that letter, yes, since you're the provider, or this is a provider, we need this in place, and it needs, I don't know what's going on with that board, but it's not functional.
Sometimes I don't know either.
You know, they better start getting functional here, or the end of the year's coming, we're gonna address it again, so.
It's impossible. You
Yeah,
know, like
it's not right.
the POs are, I kind of get POs, but just like my letter said, it's impossible to implement procedures or change the way things are done when the entity or the providing unit's responsible for it and no one is giving us notice. And at the same time, respectfully, it would be, which is what Chief White did. Chief White and Chief Lemons came to me and said, let's talk about the POs, because we think it's good for you to look at this and say, does this work for you? And I was able to say, well, that's very hard for me. So that they were going to incur the debt and write the PO. And I'm like, no, the PO should be at the top. It should be presented, and then we incur the debt. Because once the debt's incurred, it's very difficult to go backwards. And
well, this board's not functional. It's not functioning right. I mean, the procedures are not right. The communications is not there. Somebody's got to get their act together here shortly.
Here's the only thing that was changed on that. He's going to redo some of the verbiage in this box right here. Okay, so nothing else has changed.
So this.
And aren't you on the Atlanta Town Council? Maybe somebody. I don't want to go because
Yes, Jerry.
You know how I am. But maybe a representative or some from one of these other boards needs to go and
That's
say,
the way
guys,
put together.
We got to get this board functional and do the procedures by state statute properly. Not this. This doesn't work.
Well, I will admit the newest minutes that I'm reading from right now have been. I tried to reiterate when somebody made a motion. You know, Johnny made the motion, Jeff seconded the motion carries. And I had,
but you know, it's run by president. I've been to a couple of their meetings. They don't even function like that. Now Atlanta does. I came from Cicero, and they definitely do. So it needs to be corrected.
no, I'm trying to get it to where it's easier to hear on the tape recording. And then when Audra transcribes the minutes, she puts that in bold type. So from now on, and that's what she did today, and it seems to read a lot easier, and I can get you a copy.
It'll make your meetings more functional and,
Yeah.
and move along quicker.
Wayne, you did have, of sorts, an agenda this time, yes?
Yes, we
Of
did
sorts.
have, yeah, and I asked them to rearrange some things on the agenda because they didn't have them in the correct order. Just the way it would flow would be a little bit better.
Thank you, Jeff, for your efforts.
We're trying to get through this. Okay, so that's been discussed. They talked about they're going to sell the Crown Victoria car, and they asked us, the providing unit, to sell it on eBay for them since we have an eBay account, and we're going to be selling the Explorer. Didn't we vote to sell the Explorer a couple meetings ago?
Is that a territory vehicle?
The car is a territory vehicle, yes. The Explorer is our vehicle.
But they're both, they get titled under the township, but we know, you know, so
Right.
it's a transaction, but yeah.
Yeah.
Did they say how much?
You know what? They never really. We talked about it in the previous minutes.
Now, didn't that sell
I
that
think-
funding come back to the township and then that have to be appropriated to the part for the Crown Vic to the territory?
I just take, I think what I would
But
do
you've
is when
been
I
a
get
provider, I thought everything should come back.
But what I do is I deposit that into the bank and it goes into the buyer territory fund. And then the money from the, you correct me if I'm wrong, and then the money from the Explorer, since it came from the CUME fund, would come from going into the township fund and it would go into CUME. Because it goes back to where you got it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what they want to do there. As far as the Crown Vic, they talked about a $2,000 minimum bid for it. They're going to ask that from the other fire departments, if any other department in the county was interested in it, because they'd asked them first. And I suggested I said, we've got more than $3,000 invested in it. I would recommend you start your bid now at $3,000 or have that as a reserve. And they seem to agree with that.
Okay, so.
We'll have to get some more direction when they are ready to put it on the
I know
auction block.
the police cars at Cicero, 3-4 years old, are lucky to get 2,500 out of them.
Yeah, I thought they'd probably want to list it for around 2 and see what they can get on eBay. So that's been asked for us to do. That's something the township and Chris has said she's willing to do that.
But I won't do it unless it's in writing.
Right. I think they're going to have something exactly how much.
Yeah, I mean, and it needs to have a description. I mean.
So you're taking sealed bids on it?
No, we're going to put it on eBay.
Just on eBay?
Yeah, eBay, I found a bunch,
I'm not familiar with that.
it hits all the criteria.
Let's see now. Cicero sold a fire truck several years ago. Peachy did. He got more on it on eBay than what it was appraised for. He was shocked. He got like $5,000 more than what he
Do they not charge 13%? eBay?
I don't know, but they still got more out of it.
Do they charge 13%?
I don't know what the percentage is.
They
but
charge a percent.
There
Yeah.
is a percentage, and that sounds about right. But yeah, I don't know.
So,
See that ad take the shit on down here. They'll throw it on the block.
that doesn't work though, right? They
So
used to-
$2,000, you're gonna pay them what, $250 plus bucks, okay?
But could I, respectfully, could I ask that you make a motion that the fire board give me in writing how much they want I want it in writing.
What?
How much to put it on eBay for, so that, and I need a description, like it's this
So
car and.
do you want a motion that, a request to the fire board in writing?
Of how much they
How
want,
much
how much
they
they
want.
want for it, I would think that we'd look up the Kelly book and look for the Kelly book value and include that in there and then say this is what we'd like to put on it and then I need a description, like this is the Crown Vic and.
What year is this vehicle?
I bought it, I can't remember.
Oh, come on, Clint.
It's
2,000, I don't know.
2006, something like that. 4 or 6, or 5 or 6.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we requested our territory board, Jackson Township Fire Territory Board, with the description of the vehicle and the amount of money they are putting in reserve for this vehicle on eBay, or want to put on eBay. Second.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion carries.
So what I need is,
Jerry made the motion, Glenn seconded it. Motion carries.
and what I need is,
You just need some guidance and something printed out exactly what
I want
they
something
want you to
in
do,
writing that
correct?
tells me how much. That's extremely important.
Yeah.
I also would like to have something that says, here's the car, it's in this condition, and things are wrong with,
They need to write the description, they need
need
to
to write
provide
the ad.
pictures.
They need to
They
write
need to
the
do
ad.
everything, all you do is
Yeah.
you're the
I'm not writing the ad.
intermediary.
Now, Chris, are we selling the Explorer too?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that, you do that on our part too?
Yeah, but that would be a question that I've got under new business, is how much you want to
Okay.
bring it up.
All right, moving on. We talked about the minutes and how we do the minutes and how they are going to pay Audra out of the part of their budget to do the minutes. And I'm the intermediary between her and the fire board, because I'm the secretary of the fire board, so I'm in charge of doing the minutes.
And if they have an account set up to be able to pay her?
No, they don't, because it's all, we're the providing unit, we'd have to do all that, but we can take part of that pay out of their line item.
But again, I have,
It's
I have
getting confusing,
questions.
though.
It is confusing. So, in their minutes, they're approving to pay the clerk, who just happens to be Audra, but a clerk of the township to do the minutes. So and initially I said that I would try to make it a part of her daily, if we do it right, we probably can get it done on township time.
Right.
Not always, but they're saying they want to pay. So again, I need that in writing. I found out about that because she put on her time card from the fire line, because there was no communication from the fire board or anyone to tell me how to do it. I sent an email, finally got a response of yes, do it. So how do I handle things in the future? Is it just for the minutes? We're doing a project right now because there's an audit for the grants that's taking a lot of time for us to gather that information. Is that something that we charge to the territory? So,
Well, how about payroll?
I'm sorry?
How about payroll, whenever she does payroll, or somebody does,
Well, and that's what I'm
somebody out of
saying.
this office does payroll? I mean, where is this gonna stop? That's why you put $8,000 in that line item to begin with, and then we thought they were gonna run short, and we were being nice, saying, we won't charge you, but you gotta work with us.
I just need guidelines.
Right.
And at the same time, as an employee, the clerk's position is an employee of the township. Technically, everyone in the territory is an employee of the township. But if that employee is asked to do certain things for the fire board, on top of certain things then it gets very confusing. Who does she answer to?
Who's her employer?
I'm her, the township, which I represent, is her employer.
Right.
So, so today, she worked on minutes so that we could have this for our meeting and fine.
It was I asked her to do this as a guide.
So what you're saying, if it comes out of the fire territory board meeting, you want directions in writing
In writing.
on a lot, well, you've named 3 or 4 things.
Yeah, and that's why I wrote the letter,
You
because
can't do it just by their minutes. We need it.
you can't expect the providing unit to implement, nor you've got to think about things like, okay, the clerk was handed the minutes that ended up being 15 pages long the day before the fire board meeting. She worked from 8 o'clock at night until 11:45, putting 15 pages of things together.
And she wasn't given those through the trustees, she was given those by one of the board members.
Which puts that
Which
person in a bad place.
she calls me that night and said, Audra did, and she goes, who am I supposed to be working for? She goes, I'm kind of in a tough spot because she goes, I know I'm an employee of the township, but yet a fire board member has asked me to do this. So who do I work for in?
She works for the township.
Right. So we had a discussion basically on the same thing. I said, well, who writes your paycheck? He said, it's the township writes your paycheck. You're an employee of the township. I said, you do this stuff under direction of the trustee. I said, those minutes need to be given to her, and then she will give them to you.
And respectfully, just as anything else in the world, your lack of not being prepared should not become my emergency. So life gives us enough emergencies that we create ourselves.
Well, it falls back to communication.
Absolutely it does.
You know, that should have been handed over several days before.
Mm-hmm.
We can't keep doing that the night before.
And
now that part we kind of solved.
Well, that part has been solved because that's when there was a transition between Chris being on that board and I was being on that board. So now that they've nominated me to be the secretary, I've taken on that role, and I've gotten these minutes done within a week after that board meeting was.
But the problem that comes to the township office is this: that clerk's position is 2 days a week,
Right.
and so granted you needed this because this is a way for us to communicate through this. So Audrey worked on the minutes today, but really she was supposed to be paying bills. Now hopefully she'll get them done, but that also makes her have a hectic day.
Puts a lot of pressure on her.
Yeah.
That's undue.
So I think that's why I'm saying that the decisions aren't necessarily bad, but I would hope that people would think through and think, how does this decision affect the work of the people? Because that's what we're doing, is the work of the taxpayers.
So you're turning over a taped recording of your meeting, and surely that can be handed to her. Why would it take a week to get that to her?
Because she's only works 2 days a week.
No, but I mean, it should be handed in.
When the old minutes from 3 meetings ago happened, yeah.
Yeah,
That was given to her at last minute, and they held on to that recording for almost 2 weeks before it was given to her. My procedure that I follow myself, that I've created, is as soon as that board meeting is over, the fire board meeting is over, I bring this recorder, a copy of the agenda with my notes on it, and I lay it on her desk. And then I send her an email saying, I've laid this on your desk. When you have a chance to do it, please do it. Knowing that she's probably not going to be back for 3 or 4 days to work. So I try to give her as much time and flexibility as I can, and I stay in contact with Chris and let Chris know.
and that's a good plan. It's just that you need a plan written down in order for it to work. And the employee doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't need to be in the middle of having 2 or 3 people tell he or she what to do.
Have too many chiefs, not enough Indians.
Can I ask a question? She is supposed to do these minutes during her regularly slotted time.
I'm not really sure.
My only concern is the Affordable Care Act. She doesn't work over 29 hours a week.
She does not.
Okay. Would she get close to that at any time when you said she worked 8 to midnight?
No, she doesn't. But she only works 2 days a week, and part of that time she does food rescue from the schools.
Sure.
And then she has jobs. So initially I said that I could. Initially, the fire board wanted her to attend the meetings, and that wasn't a part of her job description.
They pay her as a contractor.
I can't do a contractor and a W2. I can't do a W2 and a 1099.
Can the fire board do a contractor?
I'm the employer.
Okay.
I know where you're going.
That's that gray area of the territory gray area.
Okay. As long as she's not encroaching upon those hours, and maybe approaching that 29-hour mark, then you're okay.
But she also cannot work most of those hours. I mean,
Right.
she can only come in 2 days a week.
Yeah, she kind of set her schedule. She's got other things that are.
All right. Okay.
Is that the 29 hours?
Yeah.
I thought it was 32.
No, it's 29.
Is that, if it goes over that one time in a year, is it considered, or is that an average?
But I don't see her going over that. The problem is that she physically comes to this building 2 days a week. And on top of that, if she's on vacation, then someone else is going to have to do it.
Yeah,
You know?
Right.
this is kind of time critical. Not just are these minutes taken, but then after they're approved, another thing I leave with the tape recorder is the approved minutes from that board meeting that are scanned and placed on our website.
And I haven't been getting sign-in sheets from those.
I talked to her about that too, and I'm gonna do that from now on because I don't think it's been done.
So no sign-in sheets have been
No,
happening?
and we have no board minutes for the safety board either.
So there's no board minutes from the safety board, when the safety board said it was okay for us to hire the 3 new firefighters?
I suppose.
And they're all in violation here.
I'm not on the safety board. I've
Who
asked
is
for
on-
those
Who
minutes.
is on the safety board?
John Pfeiffer is one person on the safety board. Andy Emmert's another person, and I don't know who the third one
Aaron
is.
Daly.
Who?
Aaron Daly.
Aaron Daly. I don't know who Aaron Daly is. Aaron Daly. I don't know who the secretary is or the president is of the safety board, but the secretary's job is to prepare the minutes.
I know that Andy was the president.
Well, there's no agenda and there's no
Is
minutes.
John he's your representative? Can you communicate with him and tell him that these procedures?
I'm gonna tell him to listen to everything that was said here today and,
Because that, you know,
So are you
it's
recording?
not,
yeah.
Okay, so we need to add that.
it's something, that's by state law that, you know, these guys.
I sent John an email yesterday asking if he or Andy had the agendas and the minutes, because we need to include them with all the territory documents for territory meetings.
Right.
And I would assume that they wanted to put those on the website along with the
I've asked for
territory board
those.
meetings.
I've asked for those meetings, those minutes previously, we've forgotten
Yeah.
them.
Audra asked me for them yesterday when I was sending her an email, and I just sent one to John and asked John, and I haven't received anything back as of yet.
So going back to Audra, there needs to be a written procedure as to how do I calculate what hours. So, for example, they're doing an audit. It's not a bad audit, it's just that FEMA's saying, hey, we're auditing, and we're having to come up with a bunch of paperwork. She and I have spent probably 4 to 5 hours gathering that paperwork, scanning it, and getting it ready to send off to FEMA. Are those hours that are supposed to be done to the fire territory? Because the fire territory has a line item, or we need a procedure with
Okay.
guidelines, and if I could be included to just say,
Okay. Are you writing this down? Because procedure for pay administrative services to the fire territory board. Is that what you want?
When do I
Because that's
pay?
the line item says administrative services.
Previously, when I have paid, when we have taken, like I pay certain employees out of township assistance and out of general because their job's kind of split. I don't do hour for hour, I just take it out of one, and then when that's done, I go to the other fund. But I need to know procedures, and respectfully, so does she.
Yeah, I think she's caught in the crosshairs on this.
Well, we all are.
Yeah. Okay. We talked a little bit about the EMS fund. They're still trying to do research if that can be separated, because I informed them that the township had quite a bit of money in that EMS fund before the territory was started, and some people in that room believe that EMS fund is all owned by the territory. And I disagreed with him. I said, no, I believe the majority of it, and we have the documentation on the dollar amount, was township property prior to the territory starting. I said, now everything after that was created by the territory, and I said, I would like to see those two separated also, or at least somehow have our EMS funds withdrawn and put in another fund, so there's less confusion. And it gives them an actual idea when they look at the budget how much they actually have in that fund. Because part of that EMS fund is used in our budget. And it also has an area for where they can get funds in case of emergency. So we discussed that, and there's more to come on that. The ambulance and the fire engine that we currently have a tax rate on, that tax rate ends in July of next year. And I suggested to them that if they want to continue that tax rate and buy more fire apparatus, that they need to get quotes, because we need that for later this year when we're doing a budget.
But that's under the
Currently, that's under the township. And that will be paid off on July 1st of next year.
So if you want to keep that tax rate, it's gonna have to be changed to.
It'd be changed to the territory, yes.
No,
That'd be another procedure.
that's a little, yes and no.
That's
I don't,
confusing.
yeah, it is confusing. I think it's, yeah.
Because I know when I went off the board, we were discussing that, and ours was paid off last year. If we didn't keep that tax rate going, then you have to re-advertise.
Well, you
and redo
have to
this.
re-advertise it, period.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be re-advertised.
Well, it would have to in this case,
Yeah.
because we're changing that, yeah.
Well, it has to be, you
Yeah.
you kind of continue it, but you have to do it.
When you incur debt, you have to advertise that you incur debt. So we discussed that, and I know the fire chiefs are looking at options. They want to buy an additional ambulance to replace the one at Atlanta Fire Station because it's falling apart, and possibly a grass truck, something like that. Nothing as big as a fire engine, but a smaller vehicle of some sort. So they're looking at those, and they're supposed to be getting some rough idea on quotes for those prices. We talked about the chain of command, and I gave that to Chris. That's the documents we talked about earlier. Firefighter medic hiring update, and I've got some new information since then. They had a testing process through the majority of the county went through this, and they tried the fire territory chiefs tried to find 5 people that met all the qualifications we need as a firefighter and a paramedic to hire to replace a guy by the name of Darren Studdy we had that quit and went to Lawrence Township. And we have to get somebody with the same requirements he had, or certifications requirements, to fulfill that SAFER grant that we have, that grant, to continue that grant on. If they don't have somebody hired by June 1st, we have to pay all that money back that he was paid for the last 2 years.
If it comes out of the fire territory budget.
Yeah, and they don't have the money to pay that back.
That's right.
So they're moving pretty quickly. They called 5 people that met the cutoff. They found 5 people that met the cutoff on test scores and all that sort of stuff of this list of 250 people. And the first 2, I believe, were hired by another fire department, and the other 3 weren't interested because they would take a pay cut coming here. So they decided not to use that list, and they are currently testing and interviewing 3 paramedic firefighters that are part-time employees of the fire territory right now. And I think they've taken their physical agility test, and they all passed. And today and tomorrow they're taking their written test, and Friday the written test scores will be finalized, and then I believe next week they're having an oral interview board, and they're going to make a recommendation to the safety board on which one to hire. And all 3 of them understand what they would be paid before they even apply. They understand everything up here. And all 3 of them are part-time employees. Usually they work at the Atlanta Fire Station on the ambulance. And they know what they're getting into, and they know what the pay is. And I think we've got 3 good candidates.
They are 3 good guys.
And they seem to be 3 good, they're good part-time employees, so I can only assume they'd be good full-time employees. So that procedure is going on, and they will probably have recommended hiring somebody, if not hire them before our next board meeting. If there's any changes, I can send you updates via email or through Chris.
So,
That's all I know of that right now, but I did get an email today from the chief, saying they were doing that.
on that same note, I got an email that said that Josh Mass is going to go to a different shift, and I believe
Josh Mast is being promoted to the rank of lieutenant. He is one of our firefighter medics, and that lieutenant's position is on another shift, and I think it's at the end of the pay period or the end of the 28-day cycle. It's the same day, actually. They're going to transfer him from one shift to another, and he's going to get a rank increase.
But I have not received how much to pay him. I've requested that.
Okay, write that down as a note also. I imagine that's something else we need to...
You got your job cut out.
You want my position? I'm
and
going to
please-
nominate you to be on this board.
And please note that I've requested these in emails. So I'm requesting them.
Okay, so we got that update. We talked about the POs. talked about salary resolution, needs to be signed for the 2016 budgets, is that correct? You've talked to them a little bit about that,
Well,
correct?
what they need to give me is the salaries that they want for the fire department, then we'll include them in the township resolution, and then both the fire board and the township board have to approve, yes?
I think the fire board can approve them separately, if I read the interlocal correctly.
Separately, so I have two resolutions?
I think the fire board approves their salary resolution separately,
Okay.
and
But they
then forward
include-
you the budget, and then I think, that I believe I read that today in the interlocal.
Well, the one, in the past, I included it in one resolution,
Mhm.
but I had both boards approve it, just to be on the safe side.
Yeah, well, that's fine, that works
You know,
too.
and then I just had one salary resolution, but either way,
Yeah,
I
that
don't
works
care.
too, as long as they separately approve their salary ordinance or resolution.
That's back when we were meeting together.
Right. Next thing is the fire chief brought up, fire chief had a few things he had to say. He didn't have an actual report, but he did have some things to say. One of them was he requested us to think about this. There's surplus fire equipment that he would like to sell. And he wanted permission to sell this equipment. Some of it's owned by the township, some of it's owned by the town of Atlanta, so we have to go to us. And the request, not just is, some of it is stuff that needs to be sold, some of it I think is junk. Like the recliners, or there's some chairs that would be better just to throw them away than to try to sell. You know?
The couch is junk.
Yeah, he wants permission to throw the couch in the dumpster. But he can't throw it away because it was purchased, you know. So he's requesting some guidance on what we can throw away and what he would like to sell. And items he would like to sell, he's requesting, instead of it going back to the township to be put in their fund, he was requesting that the fire department or the fire territory get it to help pay off debt or to put in some of their line items. And I told him I would have to discuss that with you guys. The two things that he brought up, the main two things, was the Explorer. He said, oh, if you would sell that Explorer, if you give us the money back, we could use it to pay off part of the new fire chief's vehicle. That was one thing he brought up. And the other one was, we got all these new radios for the emergency radios, and he's got a whole bunch of old radios that we can't use anymore. He would like to sell those to help pay off the cost of some of the new radios. He would also like to merge the Atlanta and the Jackson radios together to try to get a better deal by selling more of them, like as a big package. And sell those like through eBay or something like that. I just wanted to bring that up for discussion.
I think that's an IC code in it. I mean,
I would assume it would be best to let us sell them and bring them back and put them in our funds, and if we decided to transfer money to them, we could. If we decided not to, we keep the money.
Especially Explorer that belongs to the township.
Yeah.
That's stash.
He was thinking maybe the cost, some of that would help him, you know, eliminate some of the debt on the new vehicle, because it is replacing a vehicle.
one thing too about
But
those,
we're not getting that much out of it, so.
one thing about the radios is that the old radios can be, certainly maybe not up to the standard of being used, but we used to have a radio in here that we could listen and hear what was going on. It also gave us weather and things. We just had it plugged in all the time. And I think it was going to cost like $80 or something a radio. And he was going to upgrade 3 of them. One thing that Cicero's done is they've taken some of their better old ones and upgraded them for the volunteers. So
Well, I
they
didn't
have
know
those
if you
ones.
could upgrade those or not. I think that's
Yeah.
something we need to look into.
You can.
We can, because they switched radio systems. It's like going from Verizon to AT&T or vice versa. You know, they don't always jive.
But rather than get nothing out of them, if we could put a little bit into them and at least have something that you could use to listen, or, I don't know. I initially said that I thought it would be good to do at least 3. And that would be, just so we could, I mean, I have to admit, I enjoy listening to it, but I do.
You don't need to be listening.
I'm not anymore. I'm not. But at the same time, Cicero did give them to use them for their,
Right.
I think it's only certain radios, the
volunteers.
newer ones
Right.
that can do that.
Yeah, not all of them, but some of them.
Do you guys want to discuss that, or do you want to bring it up under new business, or do you want to?
discuss with the.
Discuss the surplus equipment.
Well, and one thing too is, if you don't mind, we could get through this so that we can let
Yeah.
Jeanette, because
All right.
then she. So,
All right, we'll move on with.
I don't think you want to
talk-
stay and talk about radios, do you? But we could, do you mind?
Yeah, no, that's fine. Budget update, we talked, they're working on the budget. I
It was
know,
supposed to be here by mid-May,
yeah, well, it's not gonna be here. They're still working on it.
so when will it be here?
I don't know. I have no idea.
So according to the interlocal, we have to have it by July the 1st.
Yes.
And we discussed that, and they said, yeah, they could have it by mid-May.
But they're not gonna have it by mid-May. They've been working on it, but there's a lot of work left to do. And I know the fire chiefs are the only ones that are working on it right now.
So we were told that we'd have the budget by mid-May.
And we don't have the budget yet.
But they have to have it here.
By
We
July
have to have it
1st.
By July the 1st. But the way that it works, I mean, in order for our budget process to work, the fire board brings it to the township board. The township board has the opportunity to say yay or nay. If they say nay, it goes back.
That's right.
Well, the provider unit, it comes to the provider unit, which happens to be the township.
Right, I agree.
We need to phrase that correctly.
I apologize.
No. But yeah, she's right. It has to come to the provider unit. The provider unit looks at it and says yes or no. And if it says no, then we send it back to them, and they've got, is it 5 or 10 days, I don't know, it's in the agreement, to get it back to us. Because it's a line item on our budget. You know, if we think they're gonna spend too much and they're running short, we have to come up with the difference. So that's part of the procedure. It's a state statute.
You need to contact the fire chief, tell him these dates and get it here.
Yeah.
Get her done.
He's been contacted and
So should we make a motion?
Make a
And
motion
what do
to
we
do
do?
what?
So when do you expect we could hear
Just say-
something?
Realistically, it's probably gonna be, mid next month before they get it to us, because they're still working on it.
So we reject it next month. What does that do?
It goes back.
It goes back to them and they have to adjust it. I don't know what kind of numbers, they haven't talked to any numbers yet. They know that there's a lot of changes that are happening from this year's budget to next year's budget, and it's the elimination of a lot of the grants that they've got. The grants a lot of them are going away, so they're having to make a lot of adjustments for the loss of the grant money. Either they're gonna have to cut things, or they're gonna have to move things from one line item to another to cover for it. And I think they're working through that.
Well, would you please be so kind as to, at the next fire board meeting, express our concern and the urgency to getting that budget completed, so that our process for the budget can go through?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Chief's vehicle, I think it's in service now. It just was completed. I asked for some clarification on who the fire territory contact person was to the trustee of the provider unit, and they once again reaffirmed it was the president of the fire board, St. Louis. Said he thought that I was going to do it, but I said no, that I was a mediator between the two because I was on the township board, and he said he has no issues speaking with the township trustee being the intermediary, which is the way it should be. The president of that board should be the contact person with the fire territory. Just because I'm on that board doesn't mean I have to relay what he says to her, because I think in a way that's a little bit of a conflict of interest. It's kind of, could be a he said, she said type of situation.
That's why I think that's why I think that in the conversation that happens, we write it down so that we both agree. Now let me get this straight. This is what you say. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, having it in black and white, and not email either.
No,
I think
needs
it
to
should
be a
be an
conversation.
actual document
Do
that
you
you both agree
Do you
on.
think that's good?
No, I think that's fine, yeah.
I like things written down, because if it isn't written down, it didn't happen.
Right.
That's about it. We had a little bit of public comment afterwards. We talked a little bit about the EMS fund.
What about the resolution?
We're going to get into that with Jeanette.
Yeah. So that's my fire territory report to my township board.
Thank you. Can we skip to new business so Jeanette can not be here
Absolutely.
till 6 o'clock?
Well, we got legal, financial,
Yeah.
or new business. Well, we kind of talked about some of this old business stuff already with my.
I just needed an out for the Explorer, and we can talk about that.
Have you done any blue book investigations on that?
I have.
Okay. Jeanette, it's on you.
Okay, Jeff Loxton, the attorney for the Fire Territory, Aaron Culp, the attorney for Atlanta and Arcadia, met, and myself, we met with Jeff and Fred Farley and Maurice St. Louis regarding possible changes to the interlocal agreement. And we came up with several, but the main one that the township board has to consider is that the participating units are going to have, the executive board is now going to, the proposal is to go from 3 members to 5 members. And there were lots of reasons why we talked about going from a 3-member to a 5-member board. One of them is just having people available to meet. Because when you have 3, you have a lesser opportunity sometimes to have a meeting to discuss things if 2 people are gone or unavailable. So, and the other issue was a quorum required all 3 to be there. And so to extend this to a 5-member board then will allow a quorum of 3 to be present. So we talked about this extension of the fire board membership, and a member is still going to be appointed by this board, Jackson Township, and a member will be jointly appointed by Arcadia and Atlanta. Now, the qualification of those 2 additional members, they have to be residents of Jackson Township, and they cannot be serve in any other elected official capacity. The current individuals serving are all elected members of Jackson Township, Atlanta, Arcadia. They're all elected members of those boards and councils. The 2 additional people, one will be jointly with Atlanta and Arcadia, and one will be from this board, and they just have to be residents of Jackson Township.
Who
and
approves
they can't.
this?
Well, the interlocal,
Was it township?
The appointments, you mean?
Yes.
right, you would make once we approve this, then Atlanta and Arcadia have to approve the changes to the interlocal as well, and then once the final unit approves the interlocal changes, that 5-member board, then you each would appoint it. It's effective upon the last person to pass it. So then you would appoint, it could be this year, a member of.
I think, is what
Am
you're
I-
asking,
I'm sorry.
you're buzzing.
I get these numbers from all over the world. Does
I do
anybody else?
too.
Yeah.
That's what it is, sorry.
So when they say appoint, there's nothing in there that says, does it mean the president of the board appoints them? Does the council vote
No,
on them?
it's appointed by the board. Your 3-member board appoints that additional person.
Okay, so how would it work for the 2 towns? Do the 2 councils appoint?
Yeah, the 2 councils have to jointly appoint
So is
that
that
person.
just like everybody knows when they appoint, it means that they go in front of the council, or does it have to be written that they're appointed by each council?
Well, they would have to, the Arcadia and Atlanta would have to agree to who that joint appointment is.
What if we don't agree?
Well, it doesn't matter if you agree. They may not agree to your appointment, who your appointment
Well,
is.
this should go on forever.
Yeah.
So you're saying the appointments are made, then
Yep.
all 3 boards have to approve them to
No.
appointment?
No.
Okay, all right.
No, you have one more appointment to the board, and Atlanta and Arcadia have one more appointment together.
Then that's it.
Those are the 2, Right, those are the two new board
They
members.
don't come back to anybody, that's
No,
the two that's
no,
appointed.
right,
So the way I understand it, the township will have 2 members on the board,
correct.
and, well, I thought we put in a lot more money than the
You-
town.